Have you ever woken up one morning, looked around your familiar room, looked at the life you're living, and quietly asked yourself, is this really the life I was born to live? Not the stable life that makes others nod in approval, not the life that looks successful on social media, but a life with a soul, a life that belongs to you. You recall the paths you once chose, the dreams you used to chase, the decisions you thought were your own. And then suddenly, you realize, did all of that truly come from your heart, or were they just products of invisible fears, of praise from your parents, of expectations from society, and from that part of you always trying to please others? There comes a moment when you feel as if you're simply acting in a play, a role written by someone else. You smile at the right times, feel sad at the right moments, work hard, push forward, but inside, you feel empty. If you've ever felt that way, know that you're not lost. You're just standing at a threshold where real life begins. Carl Jung once said, life really begins when you find yourself, not the person others want you to be, not the polished version made to impress the world, but your original self, with all your light and darkness. This journey will not be easy. It won't be glamorous at first. But if you're brave enough to begin, if you're honest enough to look within, everything will change. If this message awakens something inside you, please like this video and subscribe to the Social Psychology channel to walk with us on the journey of finding yourself again. Because what you're about to discover won't just change the way you see the world. It will change the way you see yourself. Now, take the first step through that door with me. Introducing Carl Jung and the concept of individuation. There was a man who devoted his entire life to walking into places most of humanity avoids. Not jungles, not deserts, but the wilderness inside the human soul. His name was Carl Gustav Jung, a doctor, a thinker, but more than anything, a man who dared to face his own darkness and from that, helped the entire world learn how to do the same. Jung did not believe that happiness was simply blending well with society. He didn't believe that fulfilling duty or receiving praise was enough to make someone feel whole. He saw deeper. He saw that behind polite smiles and surface-level conversations, there existed an ocean of unnamed emotions, an expansive inner world that held not only beautiful dreams, but also hidden wounds we've buried for years. And he gave a name to the journey of discovering that world. Individuation, the journey of becoming oneself. Not becoming the best version of yourself according to external standards. Not fixing yourself to be lovable, but a process of reconnecting all the fragmented parts within you, even the weak parts, the selfish parts, the parts you were once ashamed of. Because Jung understood one essential truth. We cannot truly live if half of our soul is forgotten. He never promised that this journey would be easy, but he believed one thing with certainty. Only when you're brave enough to go deep within, to face both your light and your darkness, can you become truly free, free from people-pleasing, free from the past, free from the fear of being misunderstood. All that remains is you and the truth about who you were born to become. Individuation is not a destination. It is a process, a return, step by step, through the ruins of old masks, through the broken pieces of forgotten memories. You begin to find yourself, and when you do, everything around you, from love to work to the meaning of life, starts to fall into place because you have found the true center within. The barriers that keep us from finding ourselves. If the journey of becoming yourself was simply about deciding to be authentic, then the world would already be full of free people. But the truth is, most of us have never really known who we are. Not because we don't want to, but because we were taught how to forget ourselves from a very young age. Since childhood, you were praised for being obedient, for having good manners, for controlling your emotions. You learned to smile even when your chest was tight. Learn to hide your sadness because crying is weakness. Learn to strive for approval and silence your real emotions just to fit the mold others expected. Over time, you stopped knowing what was real and what was performance. You stopped daring to be angry, to say no, to live by your inner voice, because you were afraid you would no longer be loved. Carl Jung called this outer shell the persona, the mask you wear to face the world. It helps you survive. It helps you be accepted, respected, even admired. But it comes at a cost, because the longer you wear the mask, the more you forget who's behind it. And the terrifying part is, not only are the ugly parts hidden away, but the most beautiful, the most imaginative, the most delicate parts of you get forgotten too. They don't disappear. They simply sink deeper into the soul, becoming what Carl Jung called the shadow. The shadow doesn't scream. It doesn't bang on the door, but it's everywhere. It's the reason you overreact when rejected, the reason you feel jealous without knowing why, the reason you feel unworthy even when you have everything. You think you're living just fine, but in reality, you're being silently controlled by the shadow. And that's why we feel empty. We feel tired without reason. We feel that something is missing even though we can't name it. You feel like you're trying, like you're pushing through each day, yet still drifting without direction in your own life, all because you were never taught how to return to yourself. No one ever told you you have the right to feel hurt, you have the right to be angry, you have the right to be real. No one ever told you that behind your pain, there's a magnificent human being waiting to be set free. No one ever told you you don't have to become someone else to be worthy. You only need the courage to stop betraying yourself. That is why I made this video, not to teach you something new, but to remind you of what your heart has known all along. And if these words stir something inside you, I invite you to subscribe to the Social Psychology channel so you don't miss any part of this deep inner journey. Leave a comment to share your thoughts, because sometimes a single sentence from you might be the light for someone else lost in darkness. And if you feel grateful for what you just heard, give this video a like so this message can reach more people. Thank you for being here, for listening. Not just to me, but to yourself. And now, get ready, because in the next part, we'll go even deeper into the part everyone carries but few dare to face, the shadow, and why it holds the key to setting your soul free. Facing the darkness, the key to liberating the soul. Most of us, when we hear the words darkness, immediately want to turn away. We've grown used to avoidance, avoiding anger, avoiding sadness, avoiding jealousy, disappointment, shame. We believe that if we let these things rise to the surface, they'll destroy the good person we're trying so hard to maintain. But Carl Jung pointed out a paradoxical truth. Darkness doesn't destroy you. It's the avoidance of it that does. You can deny your anger, but it will reappear in the cold tone you use with loved ones. You can bury your wounds, but they will show up in the suspicious gaze you give to someone new. You cannot destroy the shadow. You can only look at it directly and learn to live with it as a part of yourself. Jung called this process shadow integration. It's the moment you stop performing. Stop pretending you're fine. Stop acting strong all the time just so no one sees how close you are to breaking inside. And instead, you begin to sit with yourself. No judgment, no disguise, just honesty. Imagine yourself sitting alone. No noise, no social media, no outside world, just you and the silence. In that silence, the emotions you've repressed begin to surface. Maybe it's loneliness. Maybe it's childhood rage long suppressed. Maybe it's an old dream, once burning bright, that you abandoned for fear of being called delusional. In that moment, you'll want to run, you'll want to play music, scroll your phone, text someone to fill the emptiness. But if you're brave enough to stay, you'll begin to see something miraculous. The shadow you feared all along didn't come to destroy you. It came to set you free. It holds the parts of you that were rejected, but still full of life. The desires you once forbade yourself from feeling. The limits you thought were your nature, but were really just unhealed wounds. And if you're courageous enough to embrace your shadow, without hatred, without rejection, you'll find yourself stronger than ever before. Not strong in the way of wearing a tough mask, but true strength, the kind that rises from a soul once shattered, yet still chooses to stand and live on with eyes wide open and a heart still whole. Jung once said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. And that is the path to real freedom. No one can save you from the pain you refuse to face. No one can love you on your behalf if you still reject the real parts of who you are. But when you dare to turn inward, when you dare to name your fear and accept yourself without conditions, that is when your soul begins to awaken. It's not a one-night transformation. It's the journey of a lifetime, a journey no one can walk for you, but also the journey you'll be most grateful for, just for having the courage to begin. If you're on that journey right now, I want to tell you, I'm proud of you. Like this video if something inside you has been awakened. Leave a comment to share what you're learning about yourself, because your words might be the light someone else needs to keep going. And don't forget to subscribe to the Social Psychology channel, because in the next part, we'll continue mapping the soul, diving into the mysterious archetypes that are operating within you, without you even realizing it. There's still so much waiting to be discovered, and I'll be right here with you on every step of the journey back to yourself. The Power of Archetypes. When you begin to turn inward, to sit in silence and listen, you'll notice something surprising. There isn't just one voice inside of you. There are many voices, many different parts of you whispering, arguing, and struggling with each other every day. Sometimes you feel bold and decisive like a warrior, but the next moment, you feel as vulnerable as a child. Sometimes your heart overflows with love, but other times, you want to retreat, become cold, and shut down. Carl Jung called these inner parts archetypes, ancient psychological patterns that live within each of us. They are not fantasies. They're not just myths or stories in books. They are primal images etched deep into the collective unconscious of humanity, and they continue to live silently within us. Whether we recognize them or not, picture this. Inside you, there is a hero, the part that urges you to rise above adversity, to fight for a higher cause, and to reject a life of mediocrity. This hero is the voice that lifts you after failure, the one that pushes you forward on days when there seems to be no hope left. But alongside it, there's also a shadow. It reflects your fears, insecurities, and wounds from the past. It makes you doubt yourself, fear abandonment, and sometimes it even makes you sabotage the good things that come your way. Inside you, there's also a wise teacher, a quiet inner voice reminding you to pause, to reflect, to stay grounded and not lose yourself in the storm of life. And don't forget the innocent child, a pure, dreaming soul that believes in goodness and miracles. But when the world gets too harsh, that child curls up, and you begin to forget that you once had dreams. All of these archetypes are not here to divide you. In fact, they are proof that your soul is deeper and more complex than you've ever imagined. The real issue is, most of us go through life unaware of the archetypes at play. They guide us unconsciously, repeating cycles of hurt, fear, and longing without us knowing why. Do you find yourself getting angry too easily? Maybe your wounded warrior is crying out to be acknowledged. Do you find yourself endlessly chasing love? Maybe your wounded inner child is trying to be seen. Do you often feel lost and doubtful? Maybe the teacher within you has been ignored and it's been too long since you consulted your own wisdom. But when you begin to become aware, when you can name these inner forces, everything begins to shift. You understand that you're not crazy, not unstable, not too much. You're simply a whole, complex human being reconnecting with forgotten parts of yourself, and it is this harmony with your inner archetypes that unlocks a deep inner strength, a sense of calm, confidence, and rootedness that nothing outside can shake. Try asking yourself, which archetype is leading me today? Is it the hero who needs me to act? Is it the child who needs to be comforted, or is it the shadow calling me to face and heal old pain? The journey of awakening begins with that question. And if you're here, listening to these words with an open heart, you've already gone further than most people ever will. Keep going, keep asking, and always remember, you are not alone on this path. If these words awaken something in you, like this video to support the message. Subscribe to Social Psychology so we can continue walking together through the next chapters, where you'll discover Anima and Animus, the two most powerful archetypes that shape how you love, how you hurt, and how you heal. Leave a comment below. Tell me, which voice inside you are you hearing most clearly today? Because sometimes one honest sentence can light up the darkness in someone else's soul. Anima and Animus, the masculine and feminine energies within. Deep inside every human being, whether man or woman, there are two sources of energy that may seem opposite, but in truth, they complement each other in a miraculous way. Carl Jung called them Anima and Animus. Anima is the feminine image within the soul of a man. Animus is the masculine image within a woman. This is not about biological gender. It has nothing to do with stereotypes of softness or toughness. It's about ancient psychological energy, inherited through thousands of years of human evolution and stored deep in the unconscious of each of us. Let's begin with men. Inside every man, Anima is the voice of intuition, the presence of emotion, the sensitivity, the ability to connect with the invisible depth of life. But in a world that glorifies logic and control, many men have rejected their anima. They were taught that men must not be weak, don't be emotional, and so they became warriors of steel on the outside. But empty and cold on the inside, they master logic, but don't understand themselves. They can lead a team, but can't hear the cry of their own heart breaking inside their chest. And that is when the anima speaks, not with words, but with silent loneliness, with helplessness in love, with long nights of not knowing what they truly feel. As for women, Animus is the energy of reason, of decisiveness, of strong will, and the power to set clear boundaries. In a society that once confined women to the image of being gentle and agreeable, many women grew up doubting the powerful voice within themselves. They were taught to be sweet, to be accommodating, to accept, to the point that they forgot there was a deep well of strength inside them waiting to awaken. They love fully, but don't know how to say enough. They care for everyone, but abandon their own needs. And then, Animus speaks in the moments when they feel disrespected, in the confusion of not daring to choose their own path. Jung believed that the key to soul maturity is the harmony between anima and animus. A man who connects with his anima does not become weak. He becomes deeper. He is not afraid of emotion. He does not reject his intuition. And he is not afraid to say, "I am hurting." A woman who connects with her animus does not lose her softness. She becomes resilient and clear. She knows where her boundaries are. She knows how to say no without guilt. She stands firm on the path she chooses, even if others don't understand her. This union does not make you lose your gender identity. On the contrary, it helps you become whole, not a half constantly searching, but a complete being who can love, act, feel, and face life fully. Imagine a man with the strength of reason and the listening heart of compassion, a woman with the softness of water and the firmness of stone. That is the result of the union between anima and animus within you, and that is also an essential step in the journey of individuation, the journey of becoming the complete human you were born to be. If you've ever felt like something is missing inside you, if you've ever felt too soft or too hard, then maybe you haven't yet connected with the other energy that lives within you. And today, you are beginning to do just that. If this part speaks to you, leave a comment and share whether you feel more connected with your anima or animus, and what made you reject it in the past. Like this video if you believe this message deserves to reach more people. And don't forget to subscribe to Social Psychology, because in the next part, we'll explore one of the most profound and unsettling truths Carl Jung ever revealed. The self you think is you might only be an illusion. Don't leave yet, because what you're about to hear could change the way you see yourself forever. The final secret, the illusion of a fixed self. And then, when you've already traveled far on the journey of self-discovery, when you've faced your darkness, understood the psychological patterns living within you, and connected with both Anima and Animus. There comes a moment when you must confront the final truth, a truth that may shake everything you've ever believed about yourself. Carl Jung, along with many other great thinkers, all pointed to the same realization. The self you think you are is, in fact, an illusion. From the time we were children, we were taught, I am me, I am someone's child, I am a good student, I am a good person, I am a failure, I am a success. We collected labels from family, society, achievements, and failures, and stitched them together into something we call me. But the truth is, most of what you call yourself is just a collection of stories you've been told, and repeated so many times that you started to believe they were real. Jung called this construct the ego, a center of self-identification, a structure necessary for functioning in society, but also an invisible prison if you fail to recognize its true nature. You think you are your past, but you are not your past. You think you are everything you've lost, but you are far greater than any loss. You think you are a fixed personality, but with each passing day, you are still evolving. You are not your roles, not your labels, not the expectations of others. You are a stream of consciousness, ever evolving, ever expanding, beyond any definition that has ever been placed upon you. And only when you begin to realize this, do you finally become free. Free from the need to prove yourself, free from the fear of being judged, free from the exhausting roles that have drained your soul. You don't need to become someone. You only need to return. Return to the deep, silent, and whole presence within you. The outside world will always try to stick labels on you. Smart, foolish, kind, too emotional, not good enough. But you know what? When you finally see that you are none of those labels, when you no longer react the way you once did, when you smile instead of rushing to defend yourself, that is the moment you are truly living. You are no longer a copy, no longer confined by the illusion of a self, no longer trapped in the question, who am I? But instead, you begin to live as a dynamic awareness, always shifting, always growing, always free. And in that moment, real life begins, not as the end of your journey, but as a deeper, calmer, more luminous beginning, a place where you no longer need the world to understand you, because you have understood yourself. If you've made it with me to this point, I want to offer you my deepest gratitude. Not because you watched this video, but because you had the courage to do what very few have ever dared, to turn inward and to face your soul without a mask. If these words touched something within you, leave a comment. Share what part of this video awakened you the most, because what you share might become the light for someone else who feels lost in the dark. Like this video, because every like is a heartbeat in the spread of awareness. And don't forget to subscribe to Social Psychology, because this journey is only beginning. In the next videos, we'll continue diving into the deepest layers of the human psyche, with questions you may have been afraid to face, but will be grateful you finally asked. Life begins when you find yourself. In the end, after all the layers you've stripped away, after all the darkness you've dared to face, after recognizing your inner archetypes and dissolving the illusion of the ego, you realize something beautifully simple, yet profoundly deep. Life only truly begins when you find yourself, Not the person you were taught to be, not the version you pretend to be for acceptance, not the identity twisted by praise, criticism, or unnamed fears, but your original self, you, when you no longer need to act strong, you, when you accept even your weakness, you, when you stop trying to fit into the world outside and begin to live authentically, even if that means feeling alone or misunderstood. That is freedom, not freedom defined by rights, but freedom born from within, a silent, deep, untouchable presence. You don't need to be fully understood. You just need to understand yourself. You don't need to be loved by everyone. You just need to stop rejecting who you are. When you live authentically, life doesn't suddenly become perfect, but everything begins to feel meaningful. You no longer fill your emptiness with noise. You learn to sit with sadness, walk through pain, and find strength even when no one is cheering for you. You stop living to become someone worthy of love. You live because you now know you've always been worthy. This journey doesn't end with a period. It continues every day, in each choice you make, in every moment you choose to be real, even when it sets you apart, makes you feel lonely or misunderstood. But one day, you will look back and realize everything you let go of was never really you, and everything you found had always been there, waiting for you to return. You weren't born to live as a copy. You didn't come to this world to please the crowd. You are here to become fully, deeply, truly you. And if this video has awakened something in you, give it a like so that messages like this can reach those who need them most. Leave a comment, share your thoughts, your reflections, or simply write, "I am returning to myself." I will read every comment, because I believe everyone who dares to live authentically deserves to be seen. And don't forget to subscribe to Social Psychology. We will continue going even deeper into psychology, philosophy, the darkness and the light within each of us, not so you can become a better version, but so you can become yourself, whole, free, and full of meaning. Because real life only begins when you stop running and choose to return inward.